welcome to the Relationship Smith Show. We're still getting set up, but we wanted to go live since we're running a little bit late. We got a bunch of new equipment that should have made everything easier, and of course, it went mushroom shaped. So, I wanted to thank everybody for being here. We have an exciting show lined up this week. We're going to be talking with swingers and people that are interested in adding extra bodies to the bedroom for fun. The whole genre. We will take questions. We will have people involved in the lifestyle, people who have experience, been doing it for a short amount of time, for a long amount of time. And as we get to them, Zaz will introduce them, bring them on. And it's going to be a swell time. Feel free to call with any questions. Always remember this is an educational conversation. And what we want to do is give people information. If this is not your thing, that's okay. Next week, we're going to be talking about something else. And we're going to keep the conversation going in all forms of relationships and all the ways that people can interact. And
looks like we got our call.
Hello, caller.
Hello.
Hi, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you for calling in. You're our first phone guest. We've had interviews before. We're just doing this via the phone. And I wanted to, Zaz, I'll let you do the intros, if you don't mind.
The intro?
You do have to be fairly brave and vulnerable and put yourself out there and let people think or say what they want to, but you're there and confident in what you're there.
Yeah, and ultimately you can always say no. So if it's not there and not feeling it, and you're like, I don't know. Nope, no, I think we're gonna go on. Oh no, you were asking some questions about our first experience there, and I think we were just trying to figure out what it is we wanted to do. I think we went the first night and we didn't really interact with anybody besides ourselves.
Mm-mm.
And we were like, let's take advantage of doing something out here, just kind of risque and on our own. And we did. Had a great time.
That was fun.
So the next thing that I often see people asking about is the fantasy of, particularly men, seeing your wife with someone else versus actually seeing it, and then how you feel after you've, I guess they call it post-nut clarity. Did you go through that emotional ride, Gabe?
Yeah, I did. Not necessarily the first time. I think it was after we had done a few threesomes that we had added a male in, and there was some, each person's a different person, obviously, so the dynamic seems and feels a little bit different. And whenever the focus really centers around her, and you're feeling like, okay, well, I'm kind of feeling like the third wheel here on this threesome, and so we had to talk a little bit, and you get into your head just a little bit, and what it is, I think, it's just fear. Sure. And wondering, how things are changing and what's going on in her head, what's going on here. I mean, and I think a lot of what I was doing was reading into it and believing things that my thoughts were coming up, and I'm taking them as like, though they're like real, but they weren't. And it was all just fear of things changing and didn't know what was happening. And really all we were there was having fun. And after I kind of, dealt with those feelings, it was a lot more fun. And again, going back to being vulnerable to excitement and change, a lot of communication. You think you have to have good communication. I think people think they do communicate well. Get into this, doing something like this different, you really need to communicate a lot.
Yeah.
And then communicate again.
Yeah. I tell people that, especially who want to, maybe we could spice it up. Like, swinging will not fix a bad relationship. It will make it worse. You have to be in a good relationship.
Oh, no, it'll amplify. It amplifies. It
definitely would.
And Jeanette,
we were lucky. We've been strong, and we went into this strong, and even going into this strong, all of a sudden things you thought you had dealt with from way back in your past life, all of a sudden, like, ooh, there they are. And you have to oh, okay, well, apparently I hadn't dealt with all that. So.
Well, I think it's different too, because we're going into this where she and I have been, you're monogamous, and you don't we haven't ever had an issue where I've seen her looking off somewhere else or ogling over some guy or some thrill in her showing that excitement towards somebody else. Then I'm like, hey, wait, hold on. I have not seen this in you ever. And what the,
You
pardon
can
my
swear
French,
here.
but what the fuck? And,
Who are you?
Who are you? What's going on here? Okay, now and that's where a lot of communication, a lot of debriefing, and a lot of and recognizing it, seeing what it is. I mean, you can't expect somebody to go do something like that's that exciting and feels that good and not have reaction to it.
Yeah.
So I can't expect her to okay, you're focusing all that energy here. You can have fun and all, but you're not doing any of that joyful noise or anything.
Sure. First time. That's the one thing that swingers have over everybody else is everybody knows what that first kiss with the partner was like, that first time they slipped a hand in their pants or whatever, that the most exciting moment of sex for the first year together. You could kind of get that with swinging, is that first bit of excitement of exploring somebody new. But what I want to do, I want to turn this around to Jeanette. How were you the first time you saw your husband with another woman?
Well, let's see. The first time, it wasn't a big deal. Because I have to clarify, we're not the typical swingers couple where I'm bi and he's strictly straight and it's all about me being with another woman so I can, fulfill his fantasy.
Yeah, I have seen that a lot. Yeah.
Yes, we have seen that to be, somewhat true in a lot of situations. I'm pretty straight. So during this journey, so the first time we were with a couple, she was wanting to explore the female part. And so it was kind of just more of an educational kind of thing, and clarified for me, nope, pretty much how I like dicks.
Yeah, sure.
So it really wasn't a big deal. But then one time, after that was, I think, our second experience with another couple. The attraction, we were at a different club that was a lot smaller, and the attraction between him and this other girl was almost instant. And it was wait, what? Hold on a second. And then, we ended up going into the playroom, and exploring as a couple or as couples. And she was strictly straight as well. And she was as an arrow. That was her thing. So I'm okay, cool. I'm not going to have that pressure. So, looking over and experiencing that for him at one point was ooh, that little catch in your gut, what? Wait, what? And then all of a sudden it was just oh, I get it now. This is compersion. Okay, that's pretty freaking sexy.
Okay.
Wow, that's pretty freaking sexy. To watch him kind of lose himself in that is pretty awesome.
Yeah, there is something about that compersion part of it. I had never really had any knowledge of the word, but then having read up and learned what the word was and then experienced the times whenever I've seen her just been oh my God, it feels so good. It's like you're getting your ultimate massage, obviously internally, and it really, really feeling good and her enjoying it. And just, she's just enjoying the whole experience and seeing that. And it's oh man, it's just as someone that you really care for and love, you're wow, I mean, I really like that she's experiencing this. So that is that compersion part of it that is a motivator.
Sure.
And certainly if you're looking over that and, not letting yourself get in your head about, oh my gosh, she's enjoying this other person so much. Why? Okay, she's never done that with me. Stop the crap in your head, because that's all just stinking thinking.
Yeah, and you're not there to think.
Right.
You're here to experience, enjoy, and intake.
Well, if you can think of other positions and other things and fun things to do, yeah,
Sure.
there.
Yeah, every porn you've ever watched just springs to mind of all the things you want to try now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I saw that. Could that actually work? Yeah. Um.
And some of them are like a game of Twister, just trying to pull it off. 'Cause, you don't realize how difficult that is. That's not easily achieved.
Yeah, I can imagine.
That
Totally.
that looked a whole lot easier on porn. That is not. Nope.
Yeah, when you think that,
My
like in
body.
porn, they're also lifting their legs. There's a lighting guy, a camera guy, and I have appreciation for the amount of physical fitness sometimes people have to be in a good porn movie because nobody lifts their leg like that when they're doing doggy or even just missionary. Like to get the camera in there, yeah.
Right.
But the
Right.
good thing is,
Yeah.
you might not have to put a camera in there when you're doing it with on your own. You're making your own porn,
Hmm.
and the camera is your eyes.
Right.
So, one question I definitely wanted to get to, and something that I think would help people out there who listen to this and want to know about. Do you have, if a couple came up to you and they're like, "We want to get started. What are some of the rules that we should discuss, or some of the things we need to clarify before our first night?" Uh, let's say they've been to the swing club, they looked around. The next time they go, they want to get involved. What would you tell them that they need to have in place first? Something like no kissing. I'm not sure. I think that came from Pretty Woman. What sort of rules should they discuss about what they make sure what they're clear they can do? Also, do they have to talk about it afterwards? What sort of things would you recommend for a new couple?
Well, the first thing I would say is don't call it a rule, call it an agreement.
Okay, fair.
This is something that we're learning. That it's interesting how you kind of evolve the more research and things that you do. The typical swinger kind of scenario is that you either we only play together or we do play separate, or we have a veto policy that if somebody's like absolutely not, that person's not, nope, not okay with you, or not okay with me because I'm uncomfortable for you to play with that person. And we've come to find out that ultimately all that stuff just gets real messy and causes a whole lot of discord in the relationship. So going at it in terms of what are we agreeing to?
I like it. I like it. I
And
use rules
then,
a lot because of all the other relationship stuff I deal with, but I think that's a much better
yeah,
word to use.
yeah, because you want to figure out, like, if you're just going in as a brand new baby swinger and you're like, okay, what do we think we're comfortable with? And realize that you're probably you're not going to be completely right on all of it. So what do we feel like we're probably comfortable with at this point? Let's agree to, do we agree to this? Do we agree to that? Do we agree? I mean, like, kind of list it out a little bit, and then, have some kind of a signal to each other of, I don't like this. This isn't going the way, something doesn't feel right about this. I don't feel safe here. I don't feel, something like that, where one party or the other party isn't feeling safe. That's a big deal. And
Or there's some big red flag that's coming up, and we're like, okay, we need a word or some sort of a sign to even each other or even agreed upon within maybe the couple or the group that you're in, is that okay, we're backing off, taking a break for a bit or something.
yeah,
to regroup.
I would decide, kind of agree. What are we comfortable with? Are we comfortable playing apart? Are we just comfortable playing together? Are we just comfortable watching? Or, if you're at a club or something like that, then, or are we wanting to engage just with each other, but maybe out in the open because we have, we want to do a little bit of that? Or are we wanting to kind of watch around and then go to one of the little rooms and just be with each other? Do we want to, a lot of the places are, like if you leave the door open, it means that you're open to somebody joining you,
Right.
with permission, of course. Like,
Yeah,
they have to,
they can't
they're
just walk.
supposed
The
to
door
ask.
was open.
Yeah, exactly. Some of them, like the one that we went to, had some of the rooms had windows, so you could like leave the window open instead of the door. Or
Do they crawl in the window? Kidding.
what's that?
I was like, do they crawl in the window?
No, they haven't.
Just about. Just about.
There are some of them that are, I mean, they're like panting dogs sitting at the door waiting. And they're like, can I come in? Can I in? Can I come in? Can I come in? Can I come in?
Is that a turn on for you as a couple?
Not when somebody's overly eager like
Okay.
that, no.
I was just curious.
It's one of those things, yeah. Like for us personally, if we had been interested in somebody else joining us, we would have chosen that person and bring them in with us rather than just waiting to see who showed up at the door.
And there are couples that do that.
Yeah, and
right.
it's all about what you're into.
Sure.
That just wasn't our thing. And I remember that was the went to newbies night, and then we went to the next night as well. And we were going in by ourselves to one of the rooms, and the guy says, "Can I come in and watch?" I'm like, "Nope, no, no, that'll be no."
And again,
Just, wasn't
that
our
comes to the comfort level of both of the persons there. I mean, she was not comfortable with it. I really didn't know and didn't care, honestly, because I expected he's going to, before any contact that he was going to make, he has to ask. He's not just going to jump in. But even then, she's like, "Nope, not comfortable with that." So I'm good with that.
Yeah.
I mean, if she's not comfortable, that's going to be kind of our rule or our agreement, I guess, is that we're both working together on this and coming in and making sure that we're talking about, and then debriefing and then reassessing and talking about, that's where the communication comes in, because sometimes it comes across as like, "Oh, I saw this, this, and this, or I felt like this, and maybe I was really excited about it." Well, she wasn't. So then talking about it afterwards, she had a different perception. And like, "Oh, okay, well, okay, I get what you're talking about there. I didn't see it that way, but..."
The debriefing part is huge. Huge.
Sure.
And then the condoms and those types of things, deciding ahead of time if you're going to require that, because some people don't, and particularly some of the guys, they don't want to. And are you going to allow that to happen or not? I mean, those are things you really need to talk about ahead of time. It's like, that's a hard no.
Yeah.
I don't have any idea who you are.
Yeah.
Honestly, for the big picture, I mean, you're coming to a place like that, you're taking them at their word that, "Oh, you're clean."
Yeah, and obviously that's people's individual things, but safety is a huge thing that you need to talk about ahead of time, because you need to decide what are we going to do and what are we not going to do. And
well,
funny
Jeanette,
too, we've even created a whether we're meeting with somebody or we're in the moment or something, I'm like, "Hey, you know what? I'm going to go get a Coors Light." That means we're done. We're out. We're pulling out. Both of us are.
Is it
That means
because you
something's
don't
wrong.
like Coors Light?
Yeah, Coors Light. We don't drink Coors Light, so if we say that
Okay.
means we're going out. We're going to go now.
I love the signal. I did want to say, Jeanette, I am very impressed your second time in that you were so comfortable just saying no. That you didn't think there was an expectation. You were just like, no. And I think that's awesome.
And that is, for your female listeners, I have to say, that is a big deal that I didn't necessarily possess with times when we were meeting people, that we'd met on a dating site or something like that. And, you've gone through all this trouble to get a hotel room and this, that, and the other, and almost feeling like obligated to continue with an encounter when really the attraction wasn't there as much as, and for girls, it's easier for us because obviously we don't have to maintain an erection, but
and how could you, looking at us? No.
You know what
Yeah, I absolutely. Yeah, and I think I hear a beeping coming through.
I know,
Yeah.
me too. I don't know where that came from.
All right.
I did want to get one more question in.
Okay.
In that that was probably our third caller calling in early. Zaz, can you let him know?
I'm already on it. Yep.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. I had one more question for you, and then it totally left me in between here. Yeah, it was. If you, I don't want to go negative on this, but if there was one thing that you could change about the swinging lifestyle, and I don't necessarily like that word, but of your experiences with swinging, something that you would just like to see less of that's going on out there. Obviously, single guys who think that they could just, approach you any way they want online, but something a little bit less obvious that you just wish was a little different. Both of you.
I will say, honestly, I think single guys sometimes get a bad rap because there are a lot of single guys out there that are pretty cool and aren't, jerks.
That's
I
very
would
kind.
like to see a little more tolerance in the lifestyle for the atypical swinger profile that isn't always the bi female and the straight guy, and see a little bit more inclusion to where, you don't feel like you'd be shunned if you're at a club if all of a sudden, you're playing and two guys decide to have some contact as well as, the females, or the females don't have to feel pressured that they have to have contact with the other
You're
female.
talking about like the bi aspect for guys?
Yeah, the bi aspect for girls and for guys. Like there's a pressure with swinging, the typical swinging lifestyle for the women to be bi. And there's almost like that's an expectation, but for bi males, it's like completely taboo. Like,
Yeah,
not
there was
okay under any sort of, and I just don't think that's cool because everybody's got their thing, and come on, guys.
That's why we're all
At
here.
least that's what
Everybody.
we're understanding when we're out in the clubs and places like that we've been to. That seems to be the thing there. And in the dating profiles for these apps that you can get on, it seems to be, and some of them are a little narrower, but some of them are pretty broadly allowing and accepting and open to. I don't see it as much on there. There's
No.
a lot more aspect of people displaying it on there that they're bi or heteroflexible or whatever they call it. And that's another weird thing, is that there's so doggone many terms for everybody's everything that you're like having to look up constantly in a glossary somewhere.
I thought for a long time I knew a lot of the terms, but just researching this episode, I found new initials that I had to look up, and I like the fact that it's constantly growing and evolving, which means that it's more inclusive. Usually, in my area, we had a swing club where the owner, somebody said something once in a public forum, and there are no bi guys at my club. No, we don't do that. We don't
Right.
allow that here. But on Sunday nights, he had an only gay guy night. So it was just weird to see that he was okay with it on one level, but because swingers, I guess, didn't want to go to a club with bi men, he would snap at the mention that there may have been a bi guy there. Knowing, I guess, he ran the club, I assume he participated, or at least, didn't mind the activity on Sunday nights. It was a weird thread that I read through on it.
That's bizarre. It was, we talked to one guy that had talked to, and he said that he had come from the East Coast and we were on the West Coast, and he said, "Oh yeah, that it's crazy how they'll at the more straight type swinger clubs, they'll say that they're strictly straight, but they're the ones slipping you their number, as they're
Right.
walking away, and
more, he was saying more on the West Coast than East Coast was a lot more open about it.
So hey guys, I hate to cut it off here, and I'm absolutely going to invite you back for our next topic that touches on this. And feel free to stick around if you want to ask questions after we talk to our next guest. But I want to get to them. I know that she has to start work in a little bit, and I want to definitely get her in here and use her time wisely. So
Great.
let me thank you for definitely calling in and filling us with a ton of great information and being great, normal people, next door neighbors. swingers aren't bad people, and people who are interested obviously need to do the research and listen to people like you who
Yes.
have went through the experience and can educate. So thank you.
You're welcome.
You're
Thanks
welcome.
for having us.
Absolutely, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Zaz, you want to queue up our
All
next
right.
caller?
Yeah, absolutely. That was really great conversation we had there, and that was a lot of fun.
That remains.
Space Case is joining us here. She was very patient, and then she actually got here super early, and that was awesome. So, welcome, Space. How you doing?
Oh, I'm okay.
Oh,
Thank you so much for sticking around and also helping us test our audio. We should be upfront and say you've been waiting the whole time for your turn, and I really appreciate it, especially knowing you got to get off to work in a little bit.
Yeah.
So let me start off fresh with you. How, you are a swinger. What are your main
Yes,
interests,
they're also
and
swingers.
are you married?
Yes.
Okay, you're married. Your husband and you both swing together. What is your swinging situation like?
So we're a same room couple,
Okay.
and I'm bisexual. He's straight. I, in addition to that, I also have a threesome kink that I came into the relationship with.
Okay.
So,
Is that what
and
got you started
and-
with your husband in the swinging? You wanted more in the bedroom? Not more sexually, but more people.
yeah, yeah, that was that was one of the things. It was he would say, "Oh, well, you'd probably miss being with women," and I'd say, "Well, I miss having threesomes too. You know, monogamy is kind of hard for me because I miss doing that."
Okay. Did he know that when you were dating before you got married, or was this like all right, I've done one guy at one time enough. Let's talk about this.
He knew that I had a lot of sexual experience. He knew that I had done threesomes. I don't think he knew the extent of it.
Okay. And he was. How did the conversation go? Do we have the video from Discord? Oh, I'm looking at Discord. Didn't see it. Sorry. Uh, um. So, how did that conversation go from you miss it to we're gonna try it on Friday night?
It just kind of evolved to that, and he kind of didn't really know if he could handle seeing me with another guy. And
Yeah.
I'm also a bit of an exhibitionist, and I want to show off having sex with other people. That's one of the things that I also enjoy. And he knew that I really liked it, and he was just willing to, try it. The conversation was first basically that since we didn't know if he'd be able to do threesomes, was just that I wanted to have sex with other people. And we just kind of went with kind of what he was comfortable with, and he was willing to try it for me, and it was okay. And so we did it more, and yeah, that's in addition to couple swaps and orgies, and also I do love gangbangs, so I do that too.
A question about the gangbangs.
Uh,
Is there a certain level of soreness after a certain time?
I'm usually not too sore. Sometimes I feel it a little bit. Yeah. I feel a little sore sometimes, but not bad.
Okay,
It's
is
kind of a
that
good sore.
that's
Like
exactly what I
like
was gonna
after you
ask.
work out and you feel a little sore, it's kind of like that.
Okay. Um, so what rules did you two have, or do you have now that helped you explore this further and open it up more to more people or more encounters?
Well,
Like,
we use
did you start off
condom.
with he's like no anal or however whatever rules that you had to discuss and then maybe change later or agreements? I like
That was
that term.
that was one of the agreements that did end up getting changed because originally he kind of wanted no, and the guys really like anal. and I like anal. So then it was kind of we kind of have to ask him and kind of clear it to do anal.
Okay.
So and
Hey,
he kind of reminded me that uh, I kind of like to do it all the time. So
that's okay. Don't be shy here. We are positive about whatever makes you happy. And real quick, I wanted to mention to any of our listeners out there, we have traditionally experienced a network loss about 11 o'clock at night Eastern. So in a couple minutes, if we pop off, we will be right back on. So keep
okay.
watching. We'll be right back. I've talked with
It's
Verizon
like a
about this
running
today.
gag at this point.
Yeah. So back to you, Space Case. How do you find the people to join you in the multiple partner events? I don't know what to call it. It is swinging. I think threesomes or gangbangs. And all right, let's start with this. When does a threesome become a gangbang? What's the number? Is it 4 is a gangbang or
It's a really good
Um,
question.
I call them gangbangs if it's 3 or more, and a lot of time they usually are just 3.
okay?
So, no, that's not maybe like your traditional porn gangbang, but I kinda don't know what else to call it, a hat trick maybe?
Do they throw hats when they're done? Because that would be amazing. Bring your own hat
3.
night. You can call it whatever you want, and I don't care what porn calls it. Honestly, I think porn is a great idea generator, but if people actually had sex like that, nobody would ever come. I think. Um,
Right.
so, what was my original question on this? How do you find your extra partners? Is there like a regular group of friends now, or
Now we've been doing it for a few years,
okay?
and I if we like somebody, we'll invite them back, like, if they have good banners and kinda know what they're doing, if they're good team players, we'll invite them back. Um, I can
Sure.
find you can find them anywhere. Uh, Lately, I've been utilizing Reddit. I used to use a app called Whisper to find people, and I also find people on Kick.
Now, when you
So
when you meet
like,
people online, do you meet them first for a non-sexual encounter, like a lunch? I hear is a big, let's do dinner, let's talk, and then we'll see if we're both interested for more.
sometimes lately I've been doing, but in the beginning we would just kind of jump right into it,
Okay.
like literally meet and just jump into a threesome.
Did Was there something that changed that made you want to go slower? Was there like somebody who obviously needed to shower, or was really bizarre and you weren't into it, or is there a
No,
story there? How about that?
there's not really much of a story other than I think maybe in some way I felt like it was a little bit maybe degrading to the guys to just kind of jump in and just basically use them like sex toys. And I thought it would be more humanizing to kind of meet them first on a level of talking to them like people
That is
and kind of
honestly Yeah, that's one of the sweetest things I've heard said on this show, actually. That you cared that they weren't just treated like a piece of meat. That's amazing. I love it.
right.
Yeah, I didn't expect to go there tonight. So thank you. What would you say is something that you haven't done yet that you would like to do? And then I want to cut into well, I'll cut to that. What's something that you still have yet to want to do? Um, or are you still fine exploring where you're exploring?
Sometimes I do things that I didn't even know I wanted to do, like the time that we were in an orgy and there was breast milk involved. I had no idea I had an interest in that until it happened.
And now it's an
But I
ongoing
do,
interest?
maybe
Okay.
I wouldn't.
Again, no shame here. If you're into it, that's awesome.
It was fun, but one of my goals is I want to be able to say I've had 5 guys.
Okay.
Nice.
Because of the hamburger chain.
Exactly. Yeah, that's why I paused. I was like, "That's wonderful," but I didn't know if anybody else
Yeah,
got
yeah,
that.
I
yep.
I didn't catch
I
it,
want to be
but
able to say I have Five Guys.
if you film that, you have to use all the secret animal or secret recipe or menu items like animal style, double double, uh, just write
I
out the
just want to
acts.
go all the way.
That's a fantastic. I love that. That's amazing.
That's
So my next question, and I don't know if I should even go off from that. My next question is, your husband, has he been able to do things that he wanted to? Has this opened up him to explore fantasies as well?
Oh, I think so.
Okay.
Um,
You don't
yeah,
have to go
I
into it.
think
He's not here for a reason, and I was just curious.
he's here. He's just listening.
Okay,
He's kind of shy.
that's okay.
So yeah, he's been able to do things with other women, and um, the threesomes was my idea. The gangbangs were his idea to
Uh,
begin with.
okay, okay. So he was like nervous about the one guy, but then after a while, he's like more.
Um, yeah, I think it was just kind of, hey, I think Space would like to try this. Let's try and do this and see her if she really has that ultimate pleasure, and kind of maybe act out something that he maybe saw in porn. And I think he kind of likes to be in charge in a way during
Okay,
that.
like a director. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, of course, he also joins in, so that's kind of different from maybe some more traditional cum dump style gangbangs, is because the the director, kind of the night they call it, doesn't join in. They just
Okay,
ensure woman's safety. And in my case, it's kind of a different situation because we use guys I know, um, and everybody participates, and they're all looking out for my safety. I trust these guys typically, and I
right.
know them
It's all
usually.
about fun, and you can't have fun if you're terrified that somebody's gonna snap
Right,
or
and
yeah,
they're not.
not follow the
I
rules.
trust. So I think he's been able to enjoy some fantasies of orgies, and just we swap when we do more swinger stuff, like couple swaps and that sort of thing. I feel like he really gets to indulge more fantasies.
Okay. Yeah, um I read I like to go into these interviews without knowing too much. So I looked over your profile just to see what kind of things you would be interested in, where we're going and where I could kind of lead the conversation. So I didn't dig in too much, but I didn't see too much of looking for couples or for him. So I'm glad you got into this and we got to explore it because when you're a couple, I think a large part of it is that both of you have to get something out of it, and it has to be
Mhm.
positive for everybody, or it's just not going to work. So when I
Mhm.
hear of a couple where it's usually the husband, hey, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this, and she's thinking about caving in, that almost always leads to a bad time. And I like
Mhm.
the fact that I might not have read the full history of what you guys are into and looking for, but that in talking to you, it's there. So that's amazing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I could say maybe he's kind of the silent partner, but he definitely enjoys it and participates. And yeah, so it's not, I mean, it was my idea and I'm kind of the one driving it, but he's definitely along for the ride and enjoys participating.
So
Yeah, so
okay,
even last night I was vetting a new guy or we were vetting a new guy for potential. And while I was talking to the guy, he was talking to a bunch of ladies and just really seemed to be enjoying himself. And I could just kind of watch him while the new guy just kind of chatted with me, and I enjoyed that too.
nice. Um, I did want to. We're gonna in a question or two add to the conversation. I know you got to get and go to work. You could stick around
Uh-huh.
as long as you want, but I did want to ask you before we jump to our next guest, who is the moderator of the sub where you saw my post looking for people to talk to. We're gonna get to him in a little bit. Zaz, if you want to give him the number and tell him to feel free to
Already
call in
done.
when you're ready. You rock. I just wanted to make sure since we're not used to
Oh yeah,
bouncing around.
yeah. Hey, by
What
the
I
way,
want,
I just want to point this out just to triple the cover. This is probably the least I've ever spoken one of our episodes. I'm just loving these conversations today. So don't take my silences.
no, I don't. I want to ask you though. Feel free to weigh in, Josh, too, and then I'll ask you, Space, the question I had. Um, are you guys finding this educational? Like, is there something you want to ask on top of all the new information you're getting?
No,
Uh,
I'm finding it very interesting, but I've got nothing to add at this
I
time.
w-
But no,
you know,
it's
it was
very interesting.
yeah. There was like one bit it was talking about meeting other people and stuff like that. It was just like, is there any way to identify like red flags for anything like that in the future for people? To keep you guys safe. Because as much as the excitement is to meet somebody new, right? The chase, I guess, is a weird way of calling it, but it is that's
Fair.
part of the excitement.
I enjoy the
And
chase.
right, exactly. But is there like a way to go like not this one, like just hey, no, just something to protect you guys. I didn't know if there was any tools implemented for that. Anything you want to
Sky
make
says,
anybody aware?
Sky says that's my job. He says he says
That's
I'm
awesome.
notoriously bad at recognizing red flags.
Yeah,
Oh, he's nodding. Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah, if my wife
Yeah.
said something like that, I would immediately point towards me as proof.
Uh,
So
yeah.
along those lines, because this is a relationship show, I want to go to the same question I asked the previous couple. What agreements or rules or things do you guys live by that lets this swinging lifestyle, again, I still hate the word, that lets you two enjoy swinging?
Hmm.
I mean, obviously that there's like always be honest and
Yeah. Honest. Like,
over communicate, but are there things like, I'm just trying to think, what would you tell a new couple that they absolutely needed to know and discuss before their first time?
just you can make sure that they're on the same page, and I guess be willing to slow down.
Okay.
Um,
Do you guys have a veto rule, like where either of you say no at any moment it stops, or is that just understood? You guys have
we
been
do.
together long enough to just know.
Well, I tend to like to forge ahead.
Okay.
I get really into it, and I'm a very sexual, horny person, and so I tend to try to just forge ahead. But if either one of us were to say no, if I were to ever feel uncomfortable, which I typically don't, but if I were, then I know that we could stop at any time. And he can stop at any time. And yeah, I
Yeah.
think
So
now that we did a gangbang, I fell off the bed, and
sorry if that's not
all the
funny.
guys were
It
so
sounds
worried
funny.
they rushed in. And, are you okay? Are you okay?
How do you explain that injury at work? Can't come in today. So, speaking of work, I know you do have to go soon. Feel free to hang out. I want to move on to I forget the name.
Hello, are we?
Yeah. So
Is it Flow Cascade?
yeah, thank you, Flow Cascade. It just left my mind. I'm trying to not to look at my screen. I want to, obviously give the person I'm interviewing my full attention. Um, Feel free to stick around. We're gonna switch over and answer that call if we haven't already.
Okay.
Do we have a call? We'll keep talking to you till we get the call.
Oh,
Um,
all right.
and which is unless you have to go, then I don't want to keep you. I really appreciate your time and talking to us, and I
That was a
love
really fun. Yeah.
that you approach swinging in a different way than the last couple, and it makes me want to delve in and talk to even more couples. But I do want to come back to you at some point. So if we could schedule another call when we get back on the topic, I would love to talk with you some more.
Okay.
Awesome. And thank you for your time. Thank your husband for your time and his time.
Thanks, Space.
And
He's
Absolutely.
I really appreciate it. Also, I got to say it's nice to see someone's face. I understand why people don't show their faces, and it's just good to see a face and put more of a human on this. So thank you for being that open with us and your
I'm
life.
not too worried about being outed at this point. Um, maybe when we were new, but we've been doing this for a long time, and I don't think anyone cares.
Yeah,
I don't want to use my real name,
sure.
so that I don't want them to stalk me or anything, but I don't really care if they know what I look like.
Well, you look amazing. So thank you for being on camera with us.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'll probably have this edited up and ready to go tomorrow in a slightly cleaner form. I don't think I have a lot of editing to do. Everything's went pretty smoothly and not a lot of dead air. So, do you have anything before we go that you? Oh, we lost the video. Oh, it blinked off for a second on my screen, and I saw it in the corner of my eye. Do you have anything that you want to get straight with the world who has an idea of what swinging is, or threesomes, or gangbangs, just to say, please stop thinking this way? If not, that's okay.
Yeah,
I was just curious.
you can make it how you want. Isn't I think a lot of women are worried about doing it. They don't want to be hurt. They see porn and it looks so violent, and maybe it doesn't look like the girl's having such a good time. And it doesn't need to be like that. You can make it however you want. And this first few guys that reach out and they're so aggressive, and you think, oh, I don't want that. Well, you don't have to pick that. You can
Yeah,
take your time and you can be picky. And there's really wonderful guys out there. They're not all just these raging, horny dick monsters. There's, you don't have to settle for the first ones that come along either.
right, right. I love your passion in this, and I think women definitely do need to hear it more. That they can have it the way they want, and I also like your take
Yeah,
on porn because modern porn is just getting more and more. I don't know. I want to use the word violent, but in a lot of cases, a lot of the modern stuff is the guy's just being a douchebag to the woman
yeah,
who's just trying to have a good time, and I don't enjoy that myself, and I'm not sure where it came from or why it started becoming as popular as it is. Uh, but there we are. I think your message is great. Women can get what they want.
yeah, yeah. You don't have to settle for the first dick pic that comes along. Well, I don't do dick pics, but uh,
Yeah, yeah. I think at one
and
point, they're just a dick.
yeah, yeah. And like I mentioned earlier, part of my recent just trying to grow as a human is trying to meet them on a level of being humans instead of just playthings. And it
I
was
I was really honestly blown away by your comments earlier about how you wanted the guys to not feel used, and that's something I don't think I've really heard anywhere with any sincerity, and you definitely were.
oh yeah, yeah. I respect and appreciate them as human beings, and it's something that they want to do too. A lot of guys fantasize about participating in that sort of thing. Um, they have a lot of them have a really hard time sealing the deal and making it a reality, but they fantasize about it, and it's their chance to live that fantasy too if that's what they want. And we don't have to be friends. We can take it to whatever level they want. If they just want to, there's one guy that we call Come and Go Joe. He just comes and goes.
Is his name Joe?
It is.
Well, I'm
And
glad.
actually, I saw him for the first time with clothes on in 6 years the other day.
Hey, who are you? You
My
look
husband had
familiar.
no idea who he was because we ran into him socially, and I was like, Joe. It's Joe. We've known him for many years now.
Wait, come and go, Joe? Yeah.
Yeah. Come and go, Joe. Yeah.
That's excellent.
So yeah, he's been one of our repeats.
All
And
right.
yeah, we
Right.
have been doing this for a while now. So I think most of the kinks have either been worked out or expanded on.
Oh, that's amazing. So I'm going to let you go. I want to thank you absolutely for your time. I hope you'll hear from us again. I'm putting you on that special list of people that I could probably talk to for hours to get more and more stuff and find out more about you. So, again, thank you for responding. Thank you for calling in. Thank you for everything. I hope you have a fantastic weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Have a good one. Nice.
Yeah, and the thing is, a lot of men looking for threesomes have no real guide on what to expect and what to look for. Just as I think couples looking for a threesome often, one of our first questions that we answered on this show was a couple looking to find a single female to join them, and there's no real information or no real good information readily available to both sides. And
See,
you've attempted to
it's
do
a
that.
fantasy. Many people it's a fantasy and a very common one, and that it's not something you can just jump into. Like, say you talking at night and you say, hey, you want to do threesome, and then we just look on the internet and find it. Like, it does not work like that.
Yeah.
Cannot just find it in an hour or a day. You have to take time, like everything in life. It has to take it's time or money.
So let me ask you, your first threesome, was it with your spouse or girlfriend, or was it you joining someone else? And how did you get there?
See, with the spouse, and she knew the friend, and with another guy, and she knew him from before, and knew he was open to it. So that was someone we could ask. But both she and I, both bisexual, and to find one side or the other, it's very difficult. Like, we have yet to find a bisexual guy, and for her too, the same. Bisexual girl, you have to be willing, as a guy, you have to be willing to let your spouse or your girlfriend to go play on her own, because the more people you have, then the higher, not the higher, but the more ways you have of the attraction, right? You have him to her back to him, her to her, her to her the other way, right? It is 6 ways. You have to have people attract across the triangle, right?
Yeah,
And
totally.
it's so the more people, the more difficult it is to find. So if you are willing to let her go play on her own, then she can have that experience. But if you're selfish and you say no, can only be, I hear guys say this: I have to be there, I have to watch it, I must be watching, right?
Yeah.
But your girlfriend or your spouse, she wants to have bisexual experience, and she cannot, because the limitation the guy puts on. I must be watching, I have to be there, right? And so it limits her choices, right?
Yeah.
Can only be another girl that also attracted to the guy, attracted to the girl, and then both girl and the guy attracted to her, right? It's too many. It's too many ways across that you have to find it. That's why it's very difficult to find.
So, have you and your wife, have you done this, went the swinging route where you bring in another couple where he's bi and she's bi, or is it something just because of you both liking or looking for some very specific things or comfort level that doesn't work for you?
We we are open to it, but it's like I said, it more people is more ways of attraction, and it's very difficult to find. I would be open to another couple, both bi, but it's hard to find, right? Because you have to have, when we look at, okay, we look at the letters and we say M1, F1, okay, M2, F2. You have to have attraction from M1 to M1, M1 to F, I'm sorry, M2 to F to M1,
Right.
M2 to F1, and then back. See,
Yeah.
M1 to M2, F1 to F2. Now you have to go across the other side of the grid. F2 to M1,
Right.
F2 to F1, and then back. F1
Right.
to F2,
So it's like
M1 to F2. Right? So it's too many ways. It's double the amount of ways. It's so much. It's very difficult.
so like Sudoku but with penises.
Seriously,
Uh,
yes, it's like that. You have to find the perfect match, and it's very difficult thing to find. That's why 4 people is, you can say we are open to it, but if you find it, then you're very lucky. But if you don't, you're looking a long time, and that's why on my subreddit I put the 3 ways. This you can use the apps, but this way is you wait a long time because you're waiting to find that perfect match, right? It doesn't cost you any money, but you have to find the perfect match.
Time in, yeah.
2 is, you see, and 2 is the middle ground, right? You can find local, like you can find the swingers community, the ethical non-monogamy community, and these ones like have clubs or a meetup group association, and it costs some money, but it's not too expensive. But you still have to invest time. You have to go and you have to attend multiple times and get to know the people. But it has to come from a desire in your heart to want to know those people on the people level. Not just go and say, I'm only looking for sex. You say, I want to know these people. And we are all here for the same thing, but you treat them like a person. So you have to build your rapport. You cannot just show up and say, oh, I'm here, and it's automatic. It's not automatic, right? So it's the middle ground. It takes some time, but also costs some money. And then the third choice is to hire the escort, the sex worker. And this one is the high cost, but you can find, right away. You can find tomorrow. You can find, 2 days, next week, whatever. Right? But how long are you willing to wait?
Yeah, I think that's the big thing that a lot of people need to learn, that no matter what, you should probably expect to wait, or you yourself should put some time into making sure that you're getting a good match. You could be a 21-year-old, perfectly physically fit, blonde virgin, and you should probably still put some time into making sure of the million offers you get that it's a good one, especially your first time out.
See, and what also to expect is not everybody is a good sex partner, right? Somebody may be so physically attractive to you, but they do not match you sexually because everybody is shaped differently.
Sure.
A man penis a different size, right? Same thing inside the woman's vagina. It's different shape, right? Lots of couples, they get together and they stay together for having great sex because of the matching bodies. right? This penis, perfect size, curve a certain way, right? And matching for the girl vagina. And she, it matches, right? Or is the correct high perfect match of a partner, right? Someone may be physically attractive, but not a good partner match because it's too tall, not the right angle, not the right curve, not the right shape, right?
Right.
So
But I
it
mean, let's be
yeah.
fair, finding out what works for you is half the fun too. So I guess
You're right.
yeah, after a
True.
certain point in your life, you do know what you're looking for and what feels best for you. Oh, is that a hang up? Oh, looks like we
Hello.
lost. Are you there?
Oh, okay.
Oh,
It's
there we
back.
go.
Okay. Thought we lost you. So, what I want to move on next with you is a single guy. The world is full of. Oh, did we lose it again? Oh, well, that's something.
No. Here.
So,
Here.
single guy looking has to be probably more common than a single woman or even a couple
See.
potentially looking for a third. What's your advice? A single guy decides that he wants to be involved in a threesome, be it he's bi or not, or he just loves the idea of a threesome. What are the first, like, real quick three things you would tell him?
Oh, first, be ready to wait 1 year. And I say 1 year, from the time to learn what to say, what not to say, everything to do, what not to do. You have to reading, listen. You have to be willing to learn about all of the mistakes everybody before you has done and not make those same mistakes. You have to be very respectful. You have to not. Okay, so like when someone asks for something specific, say, okay, we are a couple and we are looking for a male, and male must be okay with the smoking the pot, okay,
Okay, sure. Yeah.
because they're going or a cigarette or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Something you can
Whatever
they
personal
smoke.
habits you might have.
Yeah. So if you do not like that or you do not want that, you don't respond to that one. But lots of guys, they do it anyway. They say, oh, I can, maybe they want something different. So like, okay, let's say the couple ask for a guy who is under 40 and he's particulate, like not facial hair. Okay, because a lot of women, they don't like, the oral sex, they don't like the facial hair on the vagina because it like stabbing.
Sure.
We have the same problem. So the guy with facial hair, he's respond anyway and is 45. But he goes, oh, but I think I am so hot that it's okay anyway, and I am so talented, and my penis so large that I think they will change their mind, even though they said no facial hair, no over
Right.
40,
Right.
and they do it anyway. And what happens is that two things: one, that guy, he gets blocked right away.
Yeah.
Right? He loses that chance. But two, because so many guys are doing it, the couple stop looking because the
work.
email,
Yeah.
the email in filled with 100 men, same problem.
Yeah.
And out of 100, only one is matching. Only one is listen and correct. But they don't want to go through 99 just to reach one, so they
Sure.
get discouraged and they stop looking. Now nobody wins.
Yeah.
Now everybody is the loser on that one. So
I've given advice to a lot of people on a lot of subjects, and the one thing I tell single men to do are I tell them they need to create a fake female account, use a public domain image, and just see what responses they get and to look at the
See,
profiles of the men that message them and then do
uh-huh.
the exact opposite. Because
See
if
the other
99
side.
guys do it, it's wrong. It's just,
See,
it's wrong.
yeah,
They got to
yeah.
stand out. They want to be the one who's picked. They can't look and act like everybody else. They have to be a step
See.
above, a notch better, a better communicator. Use your shift key if you can. Like talk to them like you would a job application, and put your best foot forward.
See.
Yeah.
I do not understand like it's common new fad to type like this with no punctuation, no capitalization, no comma,
Yeah.
end of sentence, nothing. I don't understand the fad. It makes
I've
no sense.
asked, and their answer is, I was on my phone, and I don't get that because on my phone I still use commas and periods and capital letters. You hit space twice, it puts a period
I
in for you.
always
You know?
Uh-huh. I always call them out and I say, I know the autocorrect on the phone is not that bad. You have to be doing it on purpose.
You
You
have
have
to
to be
ignore
going
that
back
red
and
line.
changing it.
Yeah.
So why change it? It takes more work to go back and change it. Why do more work to appear uneducated? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make a sense.
And I love the shortcut of when they shorten the word "you" to the letter "u," and they've saved so
Oh,
much time on those other two letters.
oh, oh.
It's like
Yeah, no, it makes.
guys need your help.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Well, and
thank
I
you.
say too, I always tell them, if you were to just simply send your photo and say, "This is me," that's it, nothing else, you will already be one step above everybody else. It doesn't have to be a long paragraph of
Yeah.
text to somebody. You just say you this is me, and you
This is
send
me.
the
What do you
photo
think?
and you leave it. That's it, and it's so much easier because then the couple, they see that they okay, this one I can read again. I can come back later.
You know what
And
else
if
I've noticed with
you
guys? They tend to want to know why they've been rejected. Like it
ah
matters. If this person didn't
ah
like you, they didn't like you. You don't need to know
shit,
because the only
I know.
thing they want to do is argue and say, "Well, you need to try a guy with a mustache." Uh, you've already been told no. You don't need any more information. I don't.
I know, and it makes it very, very difficult for the couples, for the other singles, and
Yeah.
for everybody trying to find the threesome. It's just so difficult. And I want them to read the sub, but they often do not read the sub because it's too long.
You gave them too much homework to get laid.
Too much, see, too much. But then they wonder why am I not having success?
Yeah.
Why I have not met somebody. I said, okay, read it. I read it again.
When I was
Because
a teenager,
it's
I would
there.
walk to a town 20 miles away in order to try and get laid, and these guys won't put 4 minutes into reading a text file.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very, very difficult.
It's different.
And I know a lot of them are not bad guys. They mean well. They just don't know. They
Yeah.
see everybody else doing it and think, "Oh, that guy, he is big. He is bigger than me. He's posting all the time. He must get a lot of success." But that is not true. With the more a guy posts, the less success he is having because he is still trying to find somebody to
Yes.
reply.
That's
The
an
ones having
amazing
success
point.
are not posting.
So, hey, listen, I want to thank you, and I'm gonna again another fantastic caller. I want to get back to you at some point when we get back in this subject. I really appreciate your insight, and again, I appreciate your time and effort into educating people about threesomes, about the work they need to put in, about the research, and there's a million things we could go on with this, but I also don't want to take up too much of your time tonight, and we got to wrap up and close out the show.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
thank you so much for bearing with our technical difficulties and
Oh,
being
thank
late.
you.
Your call was very important. And again, the name of your sub is ThreesomeAdvice on Reddit, and I'll
It,
probably throw it on the screen here. And I
oh, thank you.
absolutely recommend people go there if they're interested at all because they will learn a lot.
Thank you. Now I will watch the show. Now the kids are asleep. I will watch the show.
Awesome. Yeah, I think you're as somebody who's been giving advice and interacting with people and all sorts of lifestyles all over. Even I was blown away by some of the things I learned tonight. They were both
Wow.
very revealing conversations. I learned a lot.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been fantastic.
That's fantastic. Thank
Yeah,
you.
and what one couple was directly because of your sub. So thank you again.
Really,
This
really.
this
Wow.
show is
Oh,
dedicated
that's
to
great.
you.
That's great. Thank you. Yeah, I just want to put it out because I know when you're starting, the info is hard to find, and the same thing with us.
Good
The
info,
info
especially.
hard to find. It's very difficult to find, and that's it take a long time for us too. So I put the out there so that others can learn and not make the same mistake
And make it
and
worse for everybody who's interested
make worse
in the
for it. Just
process. Yeah.
do simple. Put the ad reply only for exactly what they're looking, and that's it. And it's simple.
And those are great words to end this show on. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Have a
Thank
fantastic
you. Thank you.
weekend, and keep
Thank
swinging.
you. Buonasera. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cascade.
Bye. All right,
Ciao.
everybody. Reminder. Oh, I wanted to send out a reminder for our upcoming shows. Next week, I'm thinking about diving into divorce. I don't know if we're going to have, I want to get back to people calling in to ask questions. I think maybe we'll aim for people in the divorce subs and just get some questions on, what to expect or what people, how they're recovering and just dive into that. And then on April 15th, we have Jeffrey Asmus, who is a fantastic comedian. Look him up on YouTube right now. He's putting out a lot of great material, great content. He's touring the United States. And when he's in Pittsburgh, he's going to be live with us here in my basement studio and answering questions about what it's like to maintain a relationship while on the road as a touring comedian, because that's a lot of work and a lot of downtime. It looks like a fantastic life where you're only you live for the being awake at night and people adore you on stage, but there's a lot more to it, and I can't wait to dive in with Jeffrey. Again, that's Jeffrey Asmus. Look him up on YouTube, Google. He's linked on our site in a couple places as well. So look forward to that, and we're definitely going to be trying to take calls when he's here as well. So